Thank you for tuning in. So this is part 4 of my blog, I think. I don't know what part I'm on. This portion is called Minutes to Midnight. I sort of think about midnight as kind of, the darkest hour before the dawn starts to come and that kind of thing. So this is pretty much my later high school experience at Willapa Valley. And the small amount of time that I did at Christian Fellowship Academy, which was the Christian high school that I went to. Yeah, me, Christian high school. That's going to be a good story. But it wasn't all fun and games. There were some darker times there and even a suicide attempt. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. And just kind of get my story out there, everybody's been doing the It Gets Better project, and there have been so many people who have been, actively stepping up and fighting for teens and everything. And I definitely want to applaud that. I think we also need a lot more stories of people who've been there, and who know what a living hell it was just to wake up every day. And so that's something that I really wanted to, that's another one of the reasons that I'm doing this project. So high school, let's go ahead and start out with some fun stuff first. All right, so it's interesting to me that people who were so homophobic, or so not gay even, if you want to think about it like that, were so willing to share their flesh. It's so funny, and I have to say this because it was part of the high school experience. Amidst all of the trauma and all of the shit that I was going through, there was this one amusing factor, whether it was somebody coming up to me completely naked in a shower, at a locker room, at a basketball game. Again, not naming names. Or the antics that would go on in the locker room. Or running around the track in PE, phys ed, and having people lower their shorts multiple times. People down the street would have parties, and I'd be on a walk around the block, and let me tell you, it was like pornography, which is so funny to me now, because those are the people who were like, so I'm not gay, you're a freak, you're an outcast. But let me show you my body parts. Oh, it's so funny to me now. And those kids are the ones that I would make fun of now. You're whipping out your dick to a gay kid. You're not insulting him. Quite the opposite. It's like leading the horse to the carrot. But on another note, speaking of that, there were a couple of people, I think it was just a couple, that I did mess around with who were so not gay. Obviously. And again, I said I'm not going to name names. That's not what this is about. But if you think about the people that were really so homophobic that couldn't even look at me, if you really think about it, you may come up with a couple of names of people that I was sort of getting busy with. And again, it's really funny. It's like, joke's on you. Thanks for helping me figure out who I am as far as, my sexual identity and, all that kind of stuff. It was... If I was any less insecure, high school could have been really fun. Let's just say that. As fun as that sounds, I was really insecure, and I really didn't know who I was. It was an awful time, really. There were many times running home in the school bus that I would just feel like I was going to get the shit beat out of me that day, by somebody. I remember walking into a locker room and people just feeling like they couldn't be in the same room as me. Not even the locker room, the lunchroom. I remember one time we had a CPR class, and we all gathered together in the band room, and they brought in a dummy that we were going to practice on, and they wiped him off with alcoholic wipes or whatever, after each person went. And I remember one of the most popular kids in our class, probably the most popular kid in our class, um, he pulled somebody aside and said, "I'm not going to do it if he's going to do it. That's disgusting." And I remember them having to actually pull me out of the class and just saying, "We can't have you take part in this. If you do take part in this, you have to go dead last." And I just remember, and I remember hearing him say it, and I don't think that he knew that I heard it, but it hurt so incredibly bad. It really did. It was awful, and it wasn't long after that that the suicide attempt came. I remember going to the kitchen and pulling out a big carving knife and pressing it to my stomach and looking down at it and just thinking to myself, it could all end right now. I would never have to be picked on again. I would never have to be called another name. It could all just end right here. And I think about how stupid I am. But not why you think. I don't like the sight of blood. I am clumsy with knives. And stabbing is probably the slowest death that you could ever, like, conjure up. I was such a stupid kid. You would have thought that I would have gotten like a ton of sleeping pills, or I would have gotten a gun, or I would have, like, thank God I was stupid, because I'm looking at this knife going, there's no way in hell. Mom would kill me if she had to clean this up. But I didn't have the guts. And something that's even harder than committing suicide is trying and failing. And so I had survivor's guilt, oh great, you're not even smart enough to commit suicide. You don't even have the balls to commit suicide. And so it was awful. I remember being expelled from school. That process took a week. And it was because I went after an adult. And that was going to be the next step for me. In discovering my sexual identity, and it was really tough. I ended up getting expelled over that one. And again, looking back, I had no taste. I went after the ugliest person possible. I'm kidding. But I really didn't have that good a taste. But, so I remember getting expelled from high school for that, and it was awful. So the next step was a Christian high school. My parents apparently thought it was going to straighten me out or something. But that was awful, I decided to try and get religious to try and cover up the fact that I was gay. And I misled a lot of people. And I think a small part of me was genuine about the relationship with God. But the majority of it was just a mask. And even that got old. I remember quitting school, just out and out quitting school. I was like 17. I had like a year and a half to go, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. If I do this, I'm really going to buy a gun. And I figured if I couldn't kill myself, then I would get out. And so I quit school. My parents wouldn't homeschool me. They were like, yeah, right. Like, we can trust you. I had already almost been to jail. Like, seriously. Like, we can trust you at home alone. So I got my GED and took off out of state. I wanted to get out so bad. I didn't find out until later that my subconscious reason for quitting school and leaving the state was, I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to stay here and have to mask who I am. So I've got to get out. I've got to get out on my own, and I just need some air. And I think high school is really what made me claustrophobic. If I'm in a room full of people I don't know, or if I'm in any small space, I can't breathe and I go into a panic attack. And so that was kind of, my life was a big moment of claustrophobia, and I really needed to get out and get some fresh air. So it was, as you can see, it was a hurricane of emotions. It was all over the place. It was ups, it was downs, it was, it was all sorts of twisted, and I don't think any kid should ever have to go through that. But it was what it was. I think I'm gonna stop right there, and then with my next blog, we'll go ahead and go over the different direction that I started to take after that.